Happy Friday, welcome to the 3 Things I Learned: Saas, sports, tech, and live events. This week we're talking about joining a startup. So I've been involved in 4 personally over the past 20-something years, and I've also advised a couple of dozen. Now, everybody has different reasons for wanting to join a startup. It might be romantic, they might think it's a sexy life change, and we don't opine on those things. But the overall experience and the compensation that happens in joining a startup and how that changes your life going forward, we can offer our personal experiences on. So here are 4 things we generally advise our friends and family on, and our connections, when they're thinking about joining a startup. Number 1, and the most discussed, you're not going to get a clear picture of your stock. I know everybody on Twitter says that you can demand this and you're going to get a real understanding, and I'd never take a job if I didn't get it, but that's just not true. Unless you are a very small handful of executives who are joining the firm very early, it's just too easy to fudge with cap tables today with so much structure in deals. Different investors have a different value on the firm. Auditors give it a different value. There's preference stacks, there's super shares, there's conversion rights, all these things that can change your number overnight, even if they tell you about it. You might have X out of Y shares today, but that math very rarely holds up going forward. So it is imperative that you trust the executive team that's in front of you. If you go and you try to drill down on your stock value as you should, you can generally fall within a standard deviation of where you're going to end up. But if you drill down too far, the company's going to expose a comp issue. You're going to be able to figure out pretty quickly who else owns what. So what I would suggest is drill down, get a good understanding, read Venture Deals by Brad Feld, and then really get to work on checking the references on the executive team that you're working for, because those are the ones who are going to stand up for you when it matters. And we'll talk more about that in number 4. Number 2, if you're taking a startup job, you're doing it because of lifestyle. Now, look, we all read about the outsized scores and the lottery winners that are out there, and I hope that for you, and I hope that for everybody that works with us. We've been involved in a number of startups over the last 20 years, and what I've seen is the most successful for people, and when success, I don't just mean money, I mean lifestyle as well, is they join a startup for one of 2 reasons. Number 1, it's the lifestyle. Everything is much more scarce at a startup. Time, resources, everything else. So everything you do matters, and that terrifies some people, and those people are better served at a more mature business. But some people really like to have the ball in their hands, and joining a startup enables them to do that earlier in their career. Number 2 is jumping the line. It's really difficult to work your way out of behemoth. Even in tech, there's a lot of people there that are in the way, and they're competing with you. If you join a startup, you might have the ability, by taking that risk, to jump the line, to get a title, and to get responsibilities that you might have access to for quite a while. I have that story when I joined StubHub. After eBay bought us, they tried to change my title because I was 27 years old and I had a pretty big title for eBay. And I'll never forget talking to the HR director. He sat across from me and said, "We're changing your title. You can use whatever you want externally, but internally you're moving back down to senior manager, because those are MBAs at eBay and they've been working here for 15 years and blah, blah, blah." And my response is very simple. Then maybe they should have taken the chance I took, because until they do, I kind of don't care about their feelings. Those are the reasons you join startups, not because of the money, because the reality is, in today's world, the behemoths have to pay more to keep people away from the sexy startups. If you want to make more money, you're probably going to do it at a larger company. That's number 2. Number 3, and this comes from somebody I respect immensely, conviction matters. When you join a business, you will know, as we've talked about, that there are going to be some pivots and there's going to be some movement in how you're approaching a market. But you don't want to be a part of a business that's moving too much, that's pivoting too much, that doesn't have conviction in the product market fit that they either have or see going forward. Because the next thing you know, you might be working in a business that doesn't look anything like what you thought you joined. Make sure when you're going through the process that you're testing and stress testing the conviction they have towards the idea, whether they have that fit now or they have an idea of where that fit's going to come from and how they're going to approach it going forward. That's number 3. Number 4, the most important and the most often ignored. You have to trust the executive team. We shouldn't work there. Run the other direction no matter how good the idea. We all want the big score, so sometimes we talk ourselves into following people that maybe aren't the best people to follow. See Adam Newman at WeWork or Elizabeth Holmes at Theranos. They both made plenty of money. A lot of their staff got left with nothing. If you read about what those founders stood for prior to their falls, it was pretty clear that the minute tough times came, they were going to abandon ship and leave everybody else holding the bag. You see, at a startup, there's a lot fewer constraints on leadership than there are at bigger companies. They don't get checked on that much, so they can do really crummy things, both morally and ethically, and that can make it a pretty awful experience for you. I hope these are helpful. If you're thinking about joining a startup, I'm sure there are more that many can share, and I hope you do. And we'll see everybody next week on The Three Things.